My name is David Maxwell. I'm an electrical engineer, also the Chief Technical Officer and founder of Overlord Labs. So there's a lot of working together with my team members and trying to work on our product, and we can make quick decisions. So there's less meetings, which was an experience at bigger companies, and we go kind of work on our own computers or in the lab, and when we need to decide something. We do schedule formal meetings sometimes, and then there's obviously emails and making documents, preparing presentations and things like that. Sometimes calls with external customers or external partners or investors. There is no typical day for an electrical engineer. I would say that every electrical engineer does the same thing. Kind of depends on the role you're at and also what you like. You can sort of choose different companies, choose different roles and functions as an engineer that sort of suit your personality and the kind of work you like to do the most. The reason I got into electrical engineering was coincidentally, I want to say, my dad was an electrical engineer, but I didn't even really know what engineering was until I was a senior in high school. And I always enjoyed math and science, but I also enjoyed all my other subjects as well. Also did some, kind of networking and mentoring and asking engineers to try and learn more what it's like to do that. When I flip a light switch, something happens like magic. I want to know what's behind all that. I did actually was very interested in liberal arts as well, and was looking at programs where you could get a dual degree. There's some schools that have 3-2 programs where you do 3 years at maybe a liberal arts college and then 2 years at a bigger university, and you'll get a liberal arts degree and a engineering degree. I first got started in electrical engineering, kind of the traditional path. I went to school for electrical engineering for my undergrad degree and just sort of followed the path in front of me. And then I fell into the co-op program. My school had a very strong co-op program. The co-op program was where you would alternate every semester. You'd go to either school or go to work. And so my first co-op experience was at Texas Instruments, and got to be around engineers doing all different kinds of jobs at this very big company. And so it was a great opportunity to find what they do, different kinds of roles, see what might be a good fit for me, and ask a lot of questions. And what I found after that first summer was that my grades got a lot better, because now I could see where is this knowledge being used, and it was much more interesting and more tangible and not this abstract, let's learn these equations or how to solve these kind of problems. Because learning is about connecting dots. It's not about memorizing facts. It's about knowing information, but how that relates to other information, and then it becomes alive and easier to remember and more interesting. And so I got more motivated, and it just became easier to learn a lot of the subjects after I started seeing it applied. And then from then on, the rest of my college career was alternating. And by the time I graduated, I'd done 4 work terms, and it took me 5 years to finish my undergrad degree, but I had over a year of work experience under my belt. And I was also doing, while I was on the work semesters, I would also do some evening classes to get some of my other credits at the community colleges near where I was working. After I graduated and went full-time, then I thought I picked a job in the company that was going to be a good starting point for me, but it turns out it wasn't really. And I was actually thinking about quitting engineering and becoming a teacher. And when I found out about this opportunity to go teach English in Japan, I jumped at it and thought I'd jump off the track, so to speak. I felt like if you don't like the track you're on, jump off it. And so I went and tried something completely different. And when I came back, I ended up giving engineering another try and fell into a different company, a small startup company, where I got to try and learn some new skills, and then got back into Texas Instruments eventually in a much better spot, And from there, my career just sort of kept progressing, where I would learn some skills on a job and then get pulled into another role that would use those skills but teach me new skills, which is kind of always the dream, that you always want to be learning new things and getting to leverage the knowledge that you have. So it was a much better try at engineering the second time, and I'm glad I gave it another try, because I've really enjoyed the journey and where I'm at now, and still continue to enjoy it. The skills and qualities that are important for success in engineering, I would say have a good technical foundation, but don't neglect the communication and people skills. And it may not start out as the most natural ones for you, but those are something you should try to challenge yourself and keep on working on, no matter what your role is. Even if you think, I have a role that is mostly technical, heads down, I'm going to spend my time at the computer or on the lab, you still are going to have to communicate at some point, and that's going to help you stand out. Even if you're not the most skilled technically, there's still a lot of roles in engineering, or that start with an engineering background, that you can go into that you can still thrive in. And I've seen a lot of people who may start out with that engineering background, and it's a great background for, just like I said, learning how the world works, understanding how to think and how to solve problems, that then go on to whether it's technical marketing or sales. But you need to have the ability to communicate in a technical way and understand the products and your customers' problems and needs, and what potential solutions are. Or it might be program management, or it could be in finance. There's so many things that you can go on to, no matter what your mix of skills are, I would say. So my undergraduate degree was electrical engineering, and that sort of is the standard track to get into these kinds of roles. I didn't go straight through like a lot of people to do a master's or any graduate degree. Once I had been working for a while, I went back to school and worked on my master's degree while I was still working full-time. And a lot of times the companies will pay for your extra classes or extra degrees that are job related. And so that's a good opportunity to take advantage of if you can. But a lot of times these days you can stand out more, and some job requirements may say they want master's degree right out of the gate. The undergraduate degree is going to be very broad introduction to your career, I would say. On the job, they're actually going to teach you a lot of the knowledge, the processes that you're going to be using. And it may be nothing to do with what you learned in school exactly. If you go on to a graduate program, sometimes you might get more specialized and learn some more specialized knowledge that you might be more likely to jump into doing on the job. But even then, it's not necessarily what you might do on the job. Some people focus on very specific areas in their graduate school, and then they go get a job and do something completely different. And that's very common as well. But like I said, the degrees are sort of credentials that get your foot in the door and say, this person knows how to think, how to solve problems, and then you'll start from that foundation. But I've also known some engineers, it's harder sometimes to get your foot in the door if you don't have those credentials, but I've known some engineers who are either didn't finish their college degree but got their foot in the door another way, or they might be not engineering degrees but something related, or they maybe did programming as part of a completely different field, but also have that great technical foundation and can become great engineers and applying that science as well. In high school, there wasn't a lot where I was in a relatively small town that prepared me, other than the basic math and science classes. The robotics clubs that are very popular now actually were just getting started when I was in school. There were other programs that stressed creativity and problem solving that were actually pretty helpful. You know, we didn't really have much programming classes back when I was in school now. So there's a lot more opportunities now to try out things in this area while you're in high school, especially online, that you can really take advantage of. I wouldn't say they're mandatory, but if it's something you're interested in, you can now much earlier find out if you're interested in those types of areas and get some exciting experience that can also help you with your resume, with your college applications, or just to know what direction you want to go. There's just so many different ways you can kind of explore, as well as start building your network and finding mentors and trying to see what those kind of jobs are really like. It's not very hard for me to stay motivated and continue learning because I just always like learning. There's just so many new developments all the time, both in my direct field and in the fields around it. And that's where a lot of innovation happens, is when you take ideas from other fields and you connect them to some completely different field. It's really exciting seeing how many other discoveries and other applications are always opening up, and trying to think about, wow, I could apply that in my field. In particular, what I'm doing right now in this semiconductor company has a big overlap with batteries. So I've had to learn not only the circuits and how the chips work, but how are they going to be used to make the batteries safer, make the batteries smarter. And so I've got to work with a lot of cell chemists and lithium-ion cell designers. I've got to go to manufacturing lines for lithium-ion cells, for lithium-ion battery packs. I've got to work with mechanical engineers and learn about all these different processes in order to make a better chip and make a better algorithm that runs on that chip. That's an example of where different fields converge to push the cutting edge of every field. There's been a lot of rewarding moments to me, and the ones that stand out are not achieving some new product or achieving some success that we got a customer to use our product, or the most memorable and rewarding moments to me are when we solve some problems as a team and I don't mean problems like making a better product or the application. A lot of times it's crisis. So we think our chip is ready to go, it's suitable, and the customer's using it, but suddenly they have a problem using our chip and their production line is stopped. And it might be our chip, it might be how they're using our chip, it could be the software, it could be so many different things, and we don't know. It's just a mysterious, intractable problem, and it's an emergency, and they can't produce their product, and they're panicking. So the most rewarding experiences for me have been those kinds of tough crisis times where we had to pull a team together, and a cross-functional team. So we have to get everybody, the folks from the firmware team, the software team, the designers, the quality guys, the manufacturing guys, the customers, and come up with hypotheses about what could be causing this, what data do we have, what data do we need to collect, and figuring out this problem in a sort of methodical way. And it can, in the beginning, the first few times, it's very stressful, but when those crunch times, when the team comes together to solve a mysterious problem, those are the most rewarding times for me. I'd say there's two things. There's obviously the technical stimulation and the mental stimulation of it, just trying to make new things, understand how things work, how we can put things together in different ways, come up with better designs, better applications, is obviously very exciting. But to me, the thing I enjoy the most is working with other people, whether that's people on my team with customers. That's where I get a lot of energy. This field is going to change in the next 5 years, just like a lot of fields, I think, from everything is just accelerating technologically. And even before artificial intelligence and before people were applying AI to their fields, everything was always accelerating. I think with AI, it's going to allow a lot of people to be much more productive. And so there's just going to be another explosion, I think, in the advancement. And not use it to replace other people or to replace your own thinking. You have to do the human part, but use it to kind of do the drudgery part, as well as to help brainstorm or to quickly learn about fields that you didn't know about, but you need to. And as also programming, a lot of engineers, some know how to program, some don't know how to program. But now, even if you don't know, or you just know a little bit of programming, you can use AI and coding assistants to quickly come up with a script or a program to help you with your job, to automate some things that were manual, or to kind of take your programming to the next level, and again, make you more productive. If you want to follow in my footsteps, I would say start taking classes in the technical area that you want to focus on, and see if you enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, then like I said, there could be other avenues that still use those, but it might not be the best path for you, but at least you can find out. But just start taking some classes and try to find out how those are used in the real world. It turns out that communication skills and interpersonal skills are really valuable for engineers, scientists, any technical field. And that's where it'll make you stand out as a technical professional, because you can communicate your ideas, you can work in groups, you can influence management, you can influence the direction of things, and being able to take a lot of ideas and concepts and pull them together, synthesize them, and then being able to explain that and get that across is a really powerful skill that is will set you apart, like I said, in your career. If you're still exploring your career options, which I think is true for almost everybody, even if you think you know what you want to do, I would say go and leverage the people around you to go ask people what they do, what are their days like, what is their role, what is their job, especially if you find people who are passionate about their job. Try to learn about their career and what was their path, how they got there, what twists and turns they took, because you'll probably be surprised. Not everybody just takes a straight path to get where they're at in their current career. And I'm personally surprised at my path and very grateful for the journey. And so I'd recommend that everybody try to do that. Really grateful to be here in Silicon Valley, where there's so many opportunities to be able to hear from other people, and I still enjoy listening and asking questions about other people's careers.